So at the start of the year, I made a video talking about my 2025 goals, and in this video, I'm going to be doing a bit of a recap of those goals and talking about what actually ended up happening in 2025. So my goals for 2025 were divided into two sections, stocks and property. As you guys know, I invest in both. Jumping into stocks, I ambitiously said to invest at least $100,000 in ETFs, which is a very out there goal. It is a very ludicrous goal. I've never achieved anything like that at all. And some quick context for you guys, which is actually quite funny, is that the whole aim of that video and the whole mindset that I was in at the time was basically trying to invest as much as possible and going very hard into the markets and taking a lot of risk. That was the mindset that I was in. And coincidentally, if you look at when that video was posted, that was posted around the end of February, which was coincidentally the top of the stock market. And as you guys know, at the top of the stock market, the emotions are basically at an all-time high. If you've seen one of those stock market charts, they look like at the top, the emotion is euphoria, and at that stage, there is so much exuberance, there is so much pride and overconfidence in the market. And when I look back at it, I basically had that type of mindset going into it. I was gonna leverage myself up, I was gonna magnify my returns, and I was gonna try and make a crap ton of money this year. And it didn't help that the market was at an all-time high where emotions were at the highest they can be. Now, fast forward a couple of weeks later, we can see that the stock market dropped about 20% due to Trump and his whole tariffs fiasco. And it just goes to show how market sentiment drives behavior. Now, either way, if we didn't recover and we were still trading sideways from that point onwards to now, I would still be adding to my portfolio. I still wouldn't be selling or panicking because I know that I'm in it for the long term. My investment portfolio has been going pretty strong for at least the last maybe 7, 8, or 9 years, and I expect to be investing for another 10 years or so before I start to sell. So either way, prices would be at a discount, so I'm not too worried about these short-term movements. Now back to the goal. I started off very strong, investing about 10K in January, followed by 11K and 10K in February and March. So we're about 3 months into the year, the first quarter down, and I'm already like 1/3 of the way into my goal. Now, leading into April, however, this is where things didn't really go to plan, and there were about 4 things which made it possible for me to basically derail from my plan. Number 1, around mid-March to early April, I spoke to a home lender to work out my rough borrowing capacity because I was thinking about buying my second property. And after running some numbers, they were looking quite tighter than I thought, and I wasn't able to borrow as much as I wanted to. The reason being is because the investments that I made for the past 3 months from January to March, these were mostly made using debt, meaning that I had borrowed money to buy these investments. And because I borrowed money, that money has to be paid back. Therefore, that was eating up into my borrowing capacity. So the borrowing capacity had reduced more than I'd like it to. Number 2, throughout the year, I was saving pretty consistently about $400 every fortnight for a holiday coming up in, you guessed it, April. And because I was saving money and I also had to pay for some other expenses, I could not use my own money to invest, and I couldn't use debt either because my borrowing capacity had started to be reduced. Therefore, I was basically locked out of using my own money or using debt. Number 3, the Nasdaq had a very sharp drop in April, and I'm quite ashamed to admit this, but I got a little spooked because of the whole tariff thing. This was just so unprecedented at the time, and the markets were reacting accordingly. Therefore, I didn't invest as much as I'd like to. My view was that this was just the beginning and there was much more room to fall. And because of that, I didn't invest more. And because I was using debt as well, the pressure was on. So it was quite a bit of a double whammy, and that kind of screwed me up a bit. And then lastly, number 4, my holiday started in late April to New Zealand, and that's when the market was at its all-time low for the second time for the year, and that's when the recovery started to happen. And because I was traveling, I barely paid attention to the markets. I was out there going on the most beautiful drives. I was climbing 2 mountains. I was doing different types of hikes, looking at the most beautiful lakes, and I really tried to switch off as much as possible. Therefore, I wasn't looking at the markets, and here I am having the best time that I can for the year, and the markets are also having the best time to buy at a discount for the year. So it kind of sucked, and although I missed out on one of the best opportunities for the year, the holiday itself was one of the best holidays I've had for the year. So yeah, it's a bit of a mixed bag of feeling. After I came back, one of the people that I follow in the investing space was like, I hope you got a chance to buy in this market. I literally made a couple $100K just from this drop. And then I respond being like, I didn't get to do anything. I completely regret it. I should have been automating this and whatnot, and just gave a lousy excuse, which is the truth. But yeah, it's just a bummer, and I missed out on one of the biggest opportunities for the year, but it is what it is. So for April, I invested $0. Coming into May, the holiday is now finally over, and I invested about $4K in that month using my own funds completely. June and July was about $5K combined using my own funds once again. And then I had another holiday plan for September and October off to Canada and the US, which aren't the most cheapest destinations, especially with our currency being where it is right now. So this was quite an expensive holiday. So again, the investments for the remaining months from August to now was a mere $4,000. So in total, I invested $44K for the year of 2025 using a mix of debt as well as my own money. And yeah, this is not even halfway through to my very ambitious goal of 100K, but it is what it is. I realized that I managed to invest a lot more previously using just my own funds, but back then times were a lot different. That was during COVID, where I wasn't going out much. Not many holidays were happening, so it was a different time, considering that I went to two amazing places which aren't the most cheapest places, and I managed to invest $44K into the markets. I think overall is an acceptable result. Jumping into property, I only had two goals for property. Number one is to have better cash flow, and number two is to release some equity from my property. That's it. And I'm very, very happy to say that both goals were accomplished. At least something went right this year when it comes to my goals. For cash flow, there were two things that went as expected. Number one, the interest rate cuts finally came through this year. So my interest rate for my loan started off at 6.39% variable, and now it has dropped down to 5.49%, which is a reduction of almost 1% in just a couple months, which is absolutely insane. So because of this, I'm literally saving hundreds of dollars every single month on interest, and that has improved my cash flow quite a bit. And then number two, the rent increase for my property finally came through for the year. So initially it started off as being rented out for $540 a week. It is now rented out at $570 a week, so about a $30 increase in rent, which in my opinion is quite a modest increase. If I look on realestate.com or Domain, the median rent for a house like that is sitting at about low 600s, so it is still below market. Now, when I was looking at renewing the lease for this property, the property manager suggested to keep the rent fairly modest, so they gave me a range of $560 to $580 a week. I chose the midpoint at $570 and went with that. It's quite a modest increase, and it is what it is. The reason for this is the property manager mentioned that there were quite a number of properties on the market in a similar locality that if the rent was too high, the tenant could easily move into those properties and still be in the same suburb and still have that quality of life. Therefore, I kept it at the middle point, and it just makes sense to keep it that way. There's a big risk of, if this tenant was to leave the property, then to get somebody in brand new, the cost that I got to pay to make that happen is at least 1 to 2 weeks worth of rent, which is part of a reletting fee, which is quite a standard fee. So it doesn't really make sense to get an extra maybe $20 or $30 worth of increase per week when you've got to pay at least 1 to 2 weeks worth of rent if the tenant was to leave, if they weren't happy with the arrangement. And if you've already got somebody there who's been living for quite some time, why have somebody new and disrupt that? It just doesn't make any sense. So I'm happy with the $570 a week. So overall for cash flow, we are still negatively geared, but the position is so much better now than it was when I first bought the property in October last year. Jumping into the equity for my property, this is quite possibly one of the most proudest achievements that I've got for the year. So I bought the property last year for $625K. I got it revalued a couple of times, and the first couple of times got revalued, the valuation didn't come up as high for some reason, despite the comparable sales being strong for the area. So that was quite disappointing, but the last val that I got done came back at $750K, which is an uplift of $125K in just under a year, which is absolutely insane. This represents a capital gain of 20% in 1 year. So based on the new valuation of the property, I released some equity from the property of about $120K, and that is sitting in my offset account at the moment, so I'm not paying any interest on it. The goal for that money is for future investments, and it just goes to show that if you buy assets that are going to grow, these will grow literally faster than you can save your money. This has got to be one of the easiest 100Ks that I've ever made, like ever. Especially if you look at at the fact that this was under a year. So that's it for my goals for this year. I achieved some, didn't achieve the others, but that's how it goes. For next year, I'm gonna have just one simple goal, which is to buy my second property, and that's it. I'm not gonna overcomplicate it. I'm gonna keep it pretty simple, and hopefully I can achieve that for next year. I'll be documenting the journey on YouTube, so follow along. It's also been 5 years on this YouTube channel, and I appreciate each and every one of you for tuning in. Either you've been watching for quite some time or you're new to this channel. I appreciate every single one of you, and I'll see you guys in the next year. Bye now.